Before I start, please support this channel. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapters of this unbelievable story. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this unfolds. Hey everyone. I never thought I'd be the guy writing about my marriage on the internet, but here I am. I've been married to my wife, Sarah, for 22 years. We met in college, got married young, and built what I thought was a strong, steady life together. We raised 2 kids who are now grown and out on their own, and I honestly believed we had weathered the hardest parts of life already. But if I'm being completely honest, I started noticing cracks about a year ago. At first, it was little things. Her phone always glued to her hand, her texts locked behind a password she refused to share. "It's just privacy," she'd snap whenever I asked, rolling her eyes like I was paranoid. I let it go because, well, trust is supposed to be the backbone of marriage, right? Then there were the sudden changes in her routine. She started going to yoga classes twice a week, except she never came home sweaty, and she always looked a little too put together. Her hair done, makeup fresh, clothes that didn't exactly scream, stretching on a mat. When I teased her about dressing up for yoga, she shot back. "At least I care about my appearance, unlike you." That stung more than I let on. Another red flag? She started being meaner. Bitchier, really. Every little thing I did seemed to annoy her. If I left a cup in the sink, it was typical. If I asked her how her day went, she'd sigh and say, "Why do you care all of a sudden?" It felt like I was living with a roommate who hated me, not the woman I'd shared my life with for over 2 decades. I brushed it off at first, told myself it was just midlife stress, maybe even early empty nest syndrome since the kids had moved out. But then there were sudden expenses on our credit card, dinners at places we'd never been together, hotel charges that didn't make sense. Whenever I asked about them, she had some quick, slick answer. "Oh, that was for a work dinner. I must have put the wrong hotel name down for the conference reimbursement." Always with this condescending tone, like I was too dumb to follow. The final straw that made me suspicious? One night she got a call and rushed outside to answer it. I watched her from the window. She was smiling, giggling like a teenager. I hadn't seen her laugh like that with me in years. When she came back inside and I asked who it was, she said flatly, "Oh, just my sister." But here's the thing. Her sister lives overseas, and I know for a fact she wouldn't call in the middle of the night. That was the first time I felt my stomach truly twist with dread. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. And that's when I started digging. So, after that late night sister call, I couldn't shake the gut feeling. Something was off. For weeks, I felt like a detective in my own house. Every little detail mattered. When she showered, when she left her phone unattended, even how long her yoga classes were. The opportunity finally came one Saturday morning. She went out for brunch with the girls, and this was rare. She left her phone charging in the kitchen. My heart was pounding. I swear my hands were shaking as I picked it up. I knew it was wrong, but after 22 years together, don't I deserve to know the truth? Of course, she had a password. But here's the thing. Sarah isn't as clever as she thinks. I tried our son's birthday. Nothing. Our anniversary date. Nothing. Then I tried her favorite designer's name. Chanel 123. Boom. I was in. And what I saw, it was like being punched in the chest. Messages. Hundreds of them. Some from a contact saved as yoga studio. But this wasn't yoga. These were texts dripping with affection and innuendo. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel alive again." And worse, pictures. Not explicit, but close enough. Her smiling in hotel rooms, wine glasses in the background, lips puckered in ways she never did for me anymore. I scrolled further, my stomach twisting. Dates and times lined up perfectly with her classes and work dinners. The hotel charges I'd asked about, right there in black and white, their nights together. I felt sick, like I couldn't breathe. My ears rang, my vision blurred. 22 years of marriage, 2 kids, building a life together, and she was sneaking around like a teenager having an affair. But the real gut punch. There was a message from just 3 days earlier. She wrote, "Don't worry about him. He's too clueless to figure anything out." I dropped the phone. I actually had to sit down on the kitchen floor, shaking. All this time, she wasn't just lying to me. She was mocking me, laughing behind my back with her lover about how stupid and blind I was. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash the phone. But instead, I did something different. I picked it back up, took photos of everything with my own phone, and save them. If this was going to blow up, and I knew it would, I wasn't going to let her twist the story. That was the moment the marriage ended in my head. But the actual confrontation, oh man, that was still to come. And it turned out to be more explosive than I could have ever imagined. I didn't sleep that night. Not a wink. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those messages again. You make me feel alive again. Don't worry about him, he's clueless. 22 years of loyalty, and she was out there laughing at me like I was some pathetic fool. By the time Sarah walked in the next morning, all smiles and carrying a shopping bag, I was sitting at the kitchen table with her phone in my hand. I'll never forget the look on her face. First confusion, then instant panic, then anger. "What the hell are you doing with my phone?" she snapped, her voice sharp and defensive. I just slid the screen toward her. The open messages glared back at both of us. "You want to explain this?" She froze. For a split second, her mask slipped, and I saw fear. But just as quickly, she smirked. Smirked. "You went through my phone? Wow, that's pathetic. You've really hit a new low." I couldn't believe it. I just caught her red-handed, and her first move was to insult me? "Don't turn this around on me, Sarah. You've been lying. Sneaking around. Who is he?" She crossed her arms, rolling her eyes like I was some annoying child. "It's not what you think. He's just a friend from work. We've been talking because well, let's be honest, you've been emotionally absent for years." That line hit me like a slap. Emotionally absent? I've been busting my ass working 2 jobs at times to provide for this family. She knew it. But here she was, rewriting history to justify her affair. Friends don't spend the night at hotels, Sarah. Friends don't text each other about last night, making them feel alive. Do you think I'm an idiot? That's when she exploded. "God, you're so dramatic. Maybe if you paid attention to me instead of your precious job, I wouldn't have to look elsewhere. Do you have any idea how boring this marriage has been?" I just stared at her. My heart was breaking, but she didn't care. She wasn't apologetic. She wasn't even ashamed. She was angry at me for catching her. Then came the kicker. She leaned in, her eyes blazing, and hissed, "And don't you dare tell anyone about this. You'll just embarrass yourself. Nobody's going to believe you over me." That was the moment I realized I wasn't dealing with the woman I thought I'd married. This wasn't Sarah, the mother of my children, my partner for life. This was someone cruel, manipulative, and ready to burn everything down just to protect herself. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just stood up, looked her dead in the eye, and said, "It's over." And let me tell you, the aftermath of that sentence was absolute chaos. After I told Sarah, "It's over," she stormed out of the kitchen without another word. I thought maybe she'd cool off, maybe even realize she was caught and finally come clean. But no. Instead, she launched her counterattack in the cruelest way possible, by dragging our kids into it. That evening, I got a call from our daughter, Emily. She sounded furious. "Dad, what the hell is going on? Mom just called me crying, saying you accused her of cheating and threatened to kick her out. How could you do that to her?" My stomach dropped. Sarah had wasted no time twisting the story. "Emily, listen to me. Your mom isn't telling you the whole truth. I found messages. She's been seeing someone." But Emily cut me off. "God, Dad, you're paranoid. Mom said you've been controlling, checking her phone, making up stories. Do you even hear yourself?" I felt like I was in some alternate reality. Sarah had spent years painting me as the dependable, steady father. Now, in a matter of hours, she'd poisoned our daughter against me. And it didn't stop there. Later that night, our son, Jason, sent me a text. "Why are you attacking Mom? She says you've been distant for years. Maybe this is your fault." My fault. Imagine hearing that from your own child after discovering your wife is sneaking into hotels with another man. I realized then that Sarah wasn't just trying to protect herself. She was trying to destroy me. She wanted to rewrite the narrative so that if, or rather, when this blew up publicly, she'd be the victim and I'd be the crazy, bitter husband. The worst part? I could already feel my kids slipping through my fingers. They weren't here to see the late nights, the lies, the phone calls. All they had was her version of the story, and she told it with tears, drama, and just enough half-truths to make it believable. That night, I sat alone in the living room, staring at the family photos on the wall. Our wedding day, Emily's first birthday, Jason's graduation. Every smile, every memory, it all felt like a lie now. And in the silence, one thought kept circling my head. If she's willing to weaponize the kids against me, What else is she capable of? I was about to find out. Because the next move Sarah made was so bold, so underhanded, it made everything up until then look like child's play. After the blow-up with the kids, I told myself, stay calm. Don't give her any more ammunition. But Sarah wasn't calming down. She was planning her next move, and she struck me where it hurt most: our finances. 3 days later, I logged into our joint bank account to pay some bills. What I saw nearly made me fall off my chair. Half, literally half, of our savings was gone. Thousands of dollars just vanished overnight. I double-checked, thinking maybe I'd made a mistake. But no, there it was. Multiple transfers to an account I didn't recognize. The description on one of them? Just 2 letters, SS. When I confronted Sarah, she didn't even blink. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone like nothing happened. "Where's the money, Sarah?" I asked, my voice shaking. She looked up with that same smug little smile. "Oh, that. I moved it. You've been so unpredictable lately, and I need to make sure I'm protected." Protected? That word lit me up inside. Protected from what? I've never laid a hand on her. Never even raised my voice until this affair blew up. The only thing she was protecting was her little secret life with Mr. Yoga Studio. I pressed her. "Is that what you're calling it? Protection? Because it looks a hell of a lot like you're funding your affair." She rolled her eyes. "God, you're so dramatic. Maybe if you hadn't been so obsessed with work all these years, we'd still have a spark. I deserve to feel alive again. That money is just as much mine as it is yours." I could barely breathe. We had worked decades to save that money, skipped vacations, worked overtime, lived modestly. That was supposed to be our safety net, our retirement. And she just siphoned it off like it was pocket change. And here's the kicker. I found out later that SS wasn't some random account. It was under the name of the guy she was seeing. She was literally funneling our family's money to him. That was the moment the betrayal cut deeper than ever. It wasn't just emotional. It wasn't just her body. She was gutting our entire future together and handing it to another man. I knew then I couldn't just sit back. I had to act. Fast. But the next move I made lit a fuse that exploded in ways I never saw coming. After discovering the money transfer, I knew I had to stop playing defense. Sarah wasn't just sneaking around anymore. She was actively dismantling our life. If I didn't act fast, she'd leave me with nothing but bills and memories. So the next morning, I booked an appointment with a divorce lawyer. Walking into that office was surreal. 22 years of marriage, 2 grown kids, a house full of history, and I was about to put it all on the line. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Linda, didn't sugarcoat it. After I explained everything and showed her the screenshots from Sarah's phone, plus the bank records, she shook her head. "You did the right thing coming here. She's already moving assets, which means she's planning ahead. We'll file for a financial freeze and start documenting everything. Do not confront her again without evidence in hand. Let her dig her own hole." It felt strange, like suddenly I was building a case against the woman I once trusted with my life. But Linda's calm, matter-of-fact tone gave me some strength. For the first time since this nightmare started, I felt like maybe I wasn't completely powerless. But of course, Sarah sensed something. That evening, she cornered me in the hallway. "Where were you today?" she demanded. "At work," I lied. Her eyes narrowed. "Don't lie to me. You've been acting different." I didn't answer. And that's when she dropped her little bombshell. "Well, just so you know, I've already talked to a lawyer too. And guess what? They said I could take the house. You'll be the one packing your bags, not me." I stood there frozen, my blood running cold. She was moving just as fast as I was, maybe even faster. That night, I got another call from Emily. Same angry tone as before. "Dad, Mom says you're trying to screw her over in court. She's terrified you'll leave her with nothing. Why are you doing this? Why are you being so cruel?" I couldn't believe it. Sarah was painting herself as the helpless victim while funneling our money to her lover. And my own kids were starting to believe her. The walls were closing in. I had legal protection starting to form, but emotionally and socially, Sarah was poisoning the well. And then came the twist I didn't expect. A mysterious message from an unknown number popped up on my phone that same night. It simply said, "You don't know the half of it. Call me." When that message popped up, "You don't know the half of it. Call me." My first thought was scam. But something about the timing, right in the middle of Sarah's chaos, made my gut twist. Against my better judgment, I dialed the number. A man's voice answered, low and tired. "Is this Mark? Sarah's husband?" "Yes, who is this?" A pause. Then, "My name's Daniel, and I think we need to talk." The room spun. Daniel. The name matched a few of those messages I'd read. "My wife's yoga studio friend. Why the hell are you contacting me?" I snapped. "Haven't you already done enough damage?" He sighed. "Look, I get it. You hate me. I would too. But you need to know, Sarah hasn't been honest with either of us." That stopped me cold. "What are you talking about?" He continued. "She told me you two were basically separated. She said you didn't care about her, that you were some cold, abusive workaholic who ignored her for years. She made me believe she was this neglected wife stuck in a loveless marriage. But now I see the truth. She's been playing me just like she's been playing you." I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. The nerve of her, spinning lies on both ends to keep her double life afloat. Daniel went on. "Listen, I ended things with her 2 weeks ago. She begged me not to. She even offered me money, said she'd take care of me. That's when I realized she wasn't who she claimed to be. And judging by that lawyer stunt she pulled with you, she's gearing up to burn you to the ground." My blood ran cold. So the missing money? The hotel charges? The manipulation? It was all part of her desperate attempt to buy his loyalty. Daniel's voice softened. "I'm sorry, man. I should have seen through it sooner. I didn't call to make excuses. I called to warn you. She's dangerous when cornered. And from what I can tell, she's about to corner herself and maybe drag you down with her." When I hung up, I sat there in silence for a long time. The anger I'd carried toward this man shifted into something else. Pity. He was just another pawn in Sarah's twisted game. But his warning stuck. Sarah wasn't just cheating. She was scheming, manipulating, and willing to scorch the earth to get what she wanted. And I had no idea how far she'd go. Just when I thought Sarah couldn't sink any lower, she proved me wrong. It was a Tuesday night. I'd just finished dinner alone when there was a hard knock at the door. I opened it to find 2 police officers standing on my porch. My heart dropped straight into my stomach. "Are you Mark?" one of them asked. "Yes. We need to have a word. Your wife, Sarah, contacted us with concerns about her safety. She claims you've been threatening her." I swear my blood froze. Threatening her? I hadn't so much as raised my voice since our blow-up in the kitchen. My first instinct was to laugh at the absurdity, but the officers weren't smiling. One of them asked if they could come inside. I let them, though every bone in my body screamed against it. They sat me down and began asking questions. "Have you been arguing? Have you raised your voice? Has there been any physical contact?" "No," I said firmly. "Nothing of the sort. She's lying. She's trying to paint herself as the victim because I caught her cheating." The officers exchanged a look, half skeptical, half sympathetic. One of them finally said, "Look, sir, we're not here to arrest you. We just need to check things out. But I will warn you, if she calls again with similar claims, this could escalate." After they left, I stood in the empty house shaking with rage. Sarah wasn't just lying to our kids anymore. She was weaponizing the system. She wanted me branded as the abusive husband so she could waltz away with the house, the money, and her shiny new life with Daniel, or whoever else she'd latched onto by now. And the worst part? It was working. If the police showed up once, they could show up again. If she pushed hard enough, I could be the one escorted out of my own home, no matter how false her story was. That night, I called my lawyer, Linda, and told her everything. She was calm but firm. "You need to start documenting everything. Keep a journal, record interactions if possible, save every text. She's building a case, Mark. We need to stay 3 steps ahead." I realized then this wasn't just a crumbling marriage. It was war, and Sarah was playing dirty. But what I didn't know was that she still had another card up her sleeve, one that would blindside me in a way I wasn't prepared for. I thought I was prepared for Sarah's lies. I thought I was ready for whatever game she wanted to play. But nothing prepared me for the moment she dragged our kids into the line of fire. It started with a phone call from my lawyer. Linda's voice was tight, controlled, but I could hear the edge of frustration. "Mark, I just got word. Your wife filed for a temporary restraining order. She's claiming you've been emotionally abusive and unstable. And," she paused, "she's listed your children as supporting witnesses." I swear I nearly dropped the phone. "Witnesses? My own kids?" "Yes," Linda said. "She claims they've seen you yelling, slamming doors, creating an unsafe environment. She's trying to build a narrative of intimidation." I felt like the ground had been ripped from under me. Emily and Jason, my kids, the ones I'd coached through school projects, sat with during fevers, worked double shifts to support, were now standing on her side of the battlefield. That night, I called Jason. Son, what's going on? Why would you back her up like this? His voice was cold, distant. Dad, I don't know what's true anymore. Mom says you've been spiraling, that you're dangerous when you're angry. She said you might try to kick her out on the street. We can't just abandon her. I wanted to scream, to shake him through the phone and make him see reason. Instead, my voice cracked. Jason, you've known me your whole life. Have I ever laid a hand on your mother? Have I ever been dangerous? He didn't answer, just silence. Then, I don't want to take sides, Dad. But Mom seems really scared. That broke me. Sarah's lies were so deep, so convincing, she'd managed to twist the hearts of the two people who mattered most in my life. When I hung up, I sat in the dark staring at the photos on the mantel. Family vacations, graduations, Christmas mornings, all poisoned now. Sarah hadn't just betrayed me as a husband. She'd stolen my children's trust, turned them into weapons against their own father. And as much as it hurt, I knew one thing. If she was willing to go this far, she wasn't stopping until I was completely destroyed. But here's the thing Sarah didn't count on. I still had one card left to play. Evidence she couldn't twist, couldn't spin, couldn't lie her way out of. And when I finally used it, everything changed. After days of torment, sleepless nights, and feeling cornered by Sarah's lies, I finally decided enough was enough. I had screenshots of her messages, bank statements showing the money transfers, hotel receipts, and even the texts between her and Daniel. Every lie she told, every manipulation, documented, irrefutable, right there in black and white. I scheduled a meeting with my lawyer, Linda, and brought everything. I could feel my hands shaking as I laid it all out on the table. This, I said, sliding the first stack of papers toward her, is everything. The messages, the money transfers, the evidence that she's been cheating for months, manipulating our kids, and lying to the police. Linda went through each document carefully. Her eyes widened, but her voice stayed calm. This is extremely solid. There's no twisting this in court. Mark, this is the proof you needed. Now we can counter her restraining order, protect your assets, and show the judge the truth about her manipulation. I couldn't believe it. After weeks of feeling powerless, seeing my marriage unravel, my kids drifting away, and even the police doubting me, I finally had something concrete to fight back with. When I confronted Sarah the next evening, I laid everything on the table. I didn't shout, didn't plead. I just showed her the evidence. Her reaction was priceless. First, she froze. Then she tried to smile. Then, slowly, the cracks started showing. No, that's not, she stammered. I have everything, I said calmly. The texts, the receipts, the bank records. All of it. There's no story you can spin, no victim role you can play here. You lied to me. You lied to our kids. You tried to destroy our lives. And now it's over. She didn't respond. She just stared, realizing her control was gone. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Power. Control over my own life again. It wasn't the end of the chaos yet. Sarah wouldn't give up easily. But for the first time, I saw a way through the storm. I had the truth on my side. After I confronted Sarah with the proof, the tension at home skyrocketed. I could feel the shift immediately in Emily and Jason. For the first time, their eyes weren't full of blind loyalty toward their mother. They were questioning, hesitating. Emily called me that evening. Dad, I don't understand. She showed me some of her messages before, but what you're showing me, it's different. Her voice was quiet, almost trembling. Jason, too, started asking questions. Dad, why didn't you tell us all of this sooner? Mom said you were exaggerating, but maybe she's the one lying. For the first time, I saw the scales start tipping. My kids were finally beginning to see the truth. They still loved their mother, of course, but doubt had crept in, and it was powerful. Meanwhile, the legal battle was heating up. My lawyer, Linda, moved quickly. She filed motions to protect the finances, countered Sarah's restraining order, and sent the judge our compiled evidence. The moment Sarah realized the court had access to her emails, receipts, and hotel bookings, her confidence started to crack. That night, I overheard her pacing, muttering under her breath, "They can't do this. I can't lose everything." It was surreal. The woman who had once controlled everyone around her, who had manipulated the kids and the police, now looked like a cornered animal. Her power had crumbled, and the world she'd tried to manipulate was finally seeing the truth. And yet, despite the small victories, I felt a lingering sadness. The family I thought I had, trusting kids, a loving wife, was fractured. I was winning legally, but the emotional wounds were deep, and healing would take time. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time, I knew I wasn't completely powerless. The tide was finally turning. The day of the hearing arrived, and I could feel my stomach in knots. I had prepared everything with Linda: screenshots, bank statements, hotel receipts, text messages. Every lie Sarah told would be exposed. But she wasn't going down quietly. As soon as the judge called the case, she launched her attack. "Your Honor," she began, voice trembling just enough to seem sincere, "my husband has been emotionally abusive for years. He's controlling, manipulative, and, frankly, dangerous. I feared for my safety." My heart sank as I watched her weave lies, claiming I had screamed, slammed doors, and made her terrified to be in her own home. Her dramatic pauses, the tearful glances at the judge, it was clear she had rehearsed this. But then came my turn. I laid out everything: the messages, the bank transfers, the hotel records, and even Daniel's testimony. I watched as the judge's expression shifted from polite attention to astonishment. Every detail painted Sarah not as a victim, but as the architect of deceit and manipulation. Linda stood beside me, calm and authoritative, pointing out the discrepancies and contradictions in Sarah's testimony. "Your Honor," she said, "the evidence shows premeditated deceit. Not only has she manipulated her children, but she's also attempted to defraud her husband financially and mislead authorities." Sarah's face went pale. She tried to interject, but the judge silenced her. Each lie she had counted on being believed unraveled in front of everyone. What struck me most, though, was the reaction of Emily and Jason. Sitting behind their mother, they were visibly confused and hesitant, glancing at me, then at the documents. They had begun to see the truth. By the end of the hearing, Sarah's desperation was palpable. Her carefully constructed facade was crumbling, and the judge made it clear she would need to produce honest testimony and that financial protections were being put in place immediately. For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. The legal system wasn't perfect, but with clear evidence, I could protect myself, my assets, and begin to rebuild trust with my children. After the courtroom confrontation, a strange calm settled over the house. Sarah's lies had been exposed, her schemes thwarted, but the emotional damage lingered. Emily and Jason were still cautious around me, still processing months of conflicting stories from their mother. I knew I had to act carefully. One evening, I sat down with them in the living room. No yelling, no accusations, just honesty. I told them everything: the messages, the money transfers, the lies Sarah had spun to manipulate us all. I didn't go into unnecessary detail, just the facts, clear and calm. Emily's eyes welled up. "I can't believe she lied about all of that, and we believed her." Jason nodded slowly. I feel bad for doubting you, Dad. I didn't know what to think." I reached out and held their hands. "I understand. You're loyal to your mother, and that's okay. But now you have the full story. I never wanted you caught in the middle. I only want the truth to guide us." Over the next few weeks, small things changed. They started coming to me with questions, not just passing along what Sarah said. They began seeing me not as the villain she tried to paint, but as their father who had been honest and steady all along. Sarah, of course, wasn't done trying to meddle. She would make snide remarks when I was around the kids, try subtle guilt trips, but her influence was weakening. The foundation of truth and transparency we built started pushing her manipulations aside. It wasn't perfect. Trust takes time to rebuild, especially after such deep betrayal. But for the first time in months, I could see a path forward, a family fractured but beginning to heal, and a life I could slowly reclaim. Just when I thought the storm was finally settling, Sarah tried one last, shocking move. A week after the courtroom hearing, I came home to find an anonymous email waiting for me. It contained doctored photos and false claims about me, things she hoped would ruin my reputation and scare the kids. My heart sank, but I stayed calm. I showed the email to Linda, my lawyer, who immediately began documenting everything. "This is exactly what we expected," she said. "She's trying to intimidate you, but we have proof it's fabricated. This will only hurt her case further." Meanwhile, Sarah confronted me directly, trying to manipulate me emotionally. Her voice quivered. You don't understand. I'm trying to protect us. I'm trying to survive. But I saw through it. The confident, manipulative facade was gone. All that was left was desperation. She had no cards left to play except lies that no one would believe. I took a deep breath and said, "Sarah, it's over. The truth is out. You've lost control. The kids know, the court knows, and I'm moving forward with my life. You need to face the consequences of your actions." Her face contorted in anger and frustration, then collapsed into tears. For the first time, she had no defense, no story to twist, no one to manipulate. The mask had fallen, and the reality of her choices hit her fully. By the end of that week, all the legal protections were in place: financial safeguards, custody clarity, and documented proof of her deceit. I could finally breathe, knowing the house was safe for my kids and me, and that Sarah's last attempts at chaos had failed. I looked at Emily and Jason that night. Their eyes held a mix of relief and lingering sadness. But there was also trust, slowly being rebuilt, like a fragile bridge connecting us after months of lies. Now that everything is settled, I have had time to reflect on the past months. The lies, the betrayals, the courtroom drama, and the slow, painful process of rebuilding trust with my children. The first thing I realized is how important honesty and communication are. Sarah's manipulations had thrived because I didn't fully see the cracks early on. I had ignored small signs, rationalized her excuses, and assumed our marriage was stronger than it really was. That was my first mistake. The second lesson is about boundaries. I've learned that loving someone does not mean tolerating deceit. Protecting yourself and your children is not selfish, it's necessary. Filing the evidence, going to court, and standing firm in truth was terrifying, but it was the right choice. Most importantly, I've seen that healing is possible. Trust with Emily and Jason isn't instantaneous, but it grows daily with honesty, patience, and consistency. Seeing them smile and confide in me again reminded me why I fought through the darkness. To anyone watching this who may be in a similar situation, my advice is, trust your instincts, gather evidence, and do not let manipulation blind you. Seek professional advice if needed, and prioritize the well-being of your children. Lies may feel powerful, but the truth has a way of coming out, and when it does, it frees you. This has been a painful journey, but also one of growth. I am learning to live again, to trust myself, and to rebuild a life grounded in truth and love. Life isn't perfect, but now it's honest, and that matters more than anything. Thank you for following my story. If you found it meaningful, please subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future stories about real-life struggles and triumphs. Your support helps me continue sharing these experiences and lessons.